Hey, it's your Lifestylist K, your secure woman mentor, and welcome back to another video. If you ever felt addicted to someone who hurt you, or struggled to move on from a toxic relationship, even though you know that it is bad, you're not weak. You are experiencing a trauma bond. So if you're stuck in the cycle of going back, breaking up, going back, breaking up, overly thinking about them when they're not around, when you guys do break up, your thoughts are just always surrounded by the thoughts of them. At that moment, your brain is attracted to the pain of love. So let's unlearn that together. Let's dive in.
Day in, day out, believe in strangers for help. Don't dwell upon this thought right now.
And so, what is a trauma bond? A trauma bond is an intense emotional attachment formed through cycles of abuse and intermittent reinforcement. Reward, punishment. That is what intermittent reinforcement is. And usually that is developed during the love bombing stage. Toxic people use love bombing, withdrawing, and manipulation to create dependence. So you're dependent on their toxicity. And really, in other words, your brain is addicted to the highs, the affection that they give, the love, the affirmations that they give you, the apologies that you receive. And your brain is also addicted to the lows, the criticisms, the silent treatment. And then all of this creates an addiction to the relationship. So you're consistently chasing their approval to the pain that they've caused, or their approval to the addiction of just being deeply connected to them in some type of form or fashion. So just understand it's just not love that's keeping you attracted. Because if we think about it, you probably aren't in love with him. It's the chemical addiction to the roller coaster, just like any other addiction. You know how you don't want to do it because you know what it does to you, but you're so addicted to the ups and the downs, the good times. Not so much the lows, but it comes with it, so you'll take it. Now that we've gone over what is considered a trauma bond, let's dive into the signs that you have a trauma bond. I'm sure we've all experienced this trauma bond thing. To me, it's quite annoying, especially when you're strong minded and you're really trying to get past and over someone, but all you keep thinking about is them. And you're just trying to figure out what the hell is going on? Why do they keep crossing my mind? Why are they here? So, signs that you have a trauma bond. A lot of times you justify their toxic behavior. And now, every sign you're not going to check off. There might be three or four, there might be one or two, it might be all of them at one point in time. You justify their toxic behavior by saying that they had a tragic or toxic childhood, or the fact that they're not always like this, those type of things. And honestly, when you have empathy for a person, you do think about the things that they've gone through. But remember, they're not thinking about the things that they're putting you through. Another sign is that you feel like you can't live without them, even though they make you miserable. You crave their validation, even though they hurt you. You feel anxious without them, even though they mistreat you when they're around a lot of times. They don't treat you the best. Sometimes they just treat you well enough. You keep playing the game of back and forth. You left before and now you back. You left before and now you're back. They left before and now they're back. You play that type of game. And another thing is that you confuse the drama or the pain with passion. You confuse the drama, the toxicity with passion. They just love me so much. Those type of things. So if you think that you find yourself in a trauma bond, ask yourself this question. Am I in love with them, or am I addicted to proving my worth to someone who refuses to see it? Really dive deep into that question. Because if you remember what I said earlier, is that sometimes you're not even truly in love with them. You're just chasing something because you want people to see how great you are. And once you have answered that question and you realize that this is a trauma bond and this is not going to get any better, it's time for you to go through the process of breaking that trauma bond. Like any addiction is hard. Like any addiction, it is hard. But you can do it. You do it for yourself. You do it for your elevation, for your growth, and for your well being. So, first, you have to accept that this is a trauma bond and you are addicted to whatever relationship you have going on with this person. And you also have to remember that it's not love that you're feeling, it's an addiction. A lot of times we can tell ourselves, oh, this person might be the one. Listen, it's not about missing, quote unquote, the one. It's about withdrawing from the toxic patterns. The one isn't causing or wreaking havoc in your life. Understand that. Number two, of course, is go no contact or low contact. That is chef's kiss. When you go no contact, it's just the best way. Block them, remove reminders, delete pictures, all that good stuff. I want you to understand that you cannot heal in the same environment that you were hurt in. It's just not possible. Remember that no emotional reaction equals no fuel for them to pull from. It works. Replace that dopamine source. Understand that toxic relationships create these highs and lows, which activates your dopamine, which causes you to be addicted in the first place. And just understand that your brain is wired to crave the intensity. So to retrain your mind, you have to create healthy sources of dopamine, exercise, new hobbies, social connections, all the things that you probably have refrained from while you've been in this relationship. Now you have to regain. And it'll replace what in your mind that brings you happiness with new sources. And during these time of finding new sources of dopamine, you have to reprogram your self-worth. What your worth doesn't revolve around them. And trauma bonds are created because in your mind, whether they have told you this or whether you feel like this, you feel like you aren't enough without them. And the reality is that you are more than enough. The reality more than likely is they aren't enough without you. You're the reason that they're enough. So the source has always been you. And understanding and always remind yourself that you do not have to earn love through suffering. You don't have to experience pain in order to experience love. Love should feel safe and not like a test. You shouldn't have to go through a whole obstacle course in order to prove to someone that you care about them and that you love them. It's not that difficult. We make things difficult because people are toxic, but they don't have to be. It doesn't have to be. Also, release the need to prove your worth to someone. The only person that you need to prove your worth to is yourself. And you aren't proving yourself to be worthy of the love that you deserve when you are allowing yourself to stay in a situation that is toxic. Now, understand that breaking a trauma bond is just not about letting them go. It's about reclaiming who you are so that you can just be a better you. And as you show up for yourself more and more, that allows healthier relationships and communication to then enter into your life. I know most of us has probably dealt with some type of or some form of trauma bond. And in the comments below, please let us know what you did to release your trauma bond. I know I gave a few examples here, but when you're dealing with that, it is a true thing. And I think the awareness of it is always the biggest way to start in anything. Self awareness is the biggest thing that you could ever have. It's up there with self love. Self awareness is up there with self love because you really can't even have self love when you aren't truly aware of yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You're deserving of something greater than to be bonded with someone who does not care, to be bonded with someone who you have to prove over and over again that you are worthy. Just know as you go through this cycle of healing and releasing that you're doing it for you, nobody else. You deserve to walk in your healness, to bask in the glory of your growth. And other people might not want to see you be your greatest self because they see it in you. It's just that you don't see it in yourself. Because when you don't see your greatness in yourself, it's easy for you to attach your greatness to someone else who isn't deserving, to attach yourself to a leech who's just going to take your energy source, drain you of all that, and then pretty much siphon your great energy and go out into the world and be great while you're sitting around wishing that someone saw your worthiness. Someone did. They took it from you. Now it's time for you to take your power back.